Okay, hello everyone. This is Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study. Just pull my earpiece out of the seven master spirits, and we're on section 4, paragraph 7. And let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for bringing us together again tonight that we might study your wonderful revelation, that we might learn and can share with one another and share with our others, our families and friends, and prepare us for what's to come in the future in the mansion world. We're so grateful to know what to look forward to and to study and become more and more familiar with you and your plan for our life to paradise. We say this in the name of your son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Diane, you want to start out tonight with the seven master spirits?
The seven master spirits have personal representatives who function throughout the grand universe. But since a large majority of these subordinate beings are not directly concerned with the ascendant scheme of mortal progression in the path of paradise perfection, little or nothing has been revealed about them. Much, very much, of the activity of the seven master spirits remains hidden from human understanding, because in no way does it directly pertain to your problem of paradise ascent.
Notice this is problem of paradise ascent. So this ascent to paradise is this big problem we have to work out, right? Not very reassuring, is it? Use that
word.
Okay. First, I want to point out the seven master spirits have personal representatives, as they talk about, who function through the grand universe that they don't tell us anything about. Now, remember from years ago when we talked about the paper 31, it lists all the beings that are related to us in the paradise ascent. Well, that's not even one iota of beings that are actually in the seven super universes. What they're talking about here, these personal representatives, there's thousands and thousands and probably into the millions of different beings that they don't tell us about in this book. Number one, it wouldn't have room to explain them all to us. And number two, we wouldn't understand what the heck they're talking about, would we? I mean, it's hard enough to understand the ones they want us to understand. So there's large numbers of these subordinate beings that help the seven master spirits, but they have nothing to do with the paradise ascension plan, so they don't tell us about them. All right, and that's what they're saying here.
Roger, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Pam.
So it says, problem of paradise ascent. And so I've been having this question, what if you fail on the ascent?
You do it over, you go.
Oh, you go back down to the bottom level, mansion world?
No, you go to the level you just left and you start again from that level, and they try to tutor you and get you up to the point where you can make the ascent.
Ah, got it. Okay.
Okay. So let's say it's kind of like grade school. You go through the grades, and if you don't make the grades, they fail you, right? But you go back and go through the same grade again until you get it the next time. And if you don't get it that time, guess what happens? You go back again, you do it again until you do get it. But the nice thing about this ascent is they have angels and things, beings such as that tutor you in the things you don't understand or you can't comprehend. So it's not like somebody like me trying to teach the book that is, on a certain level. These beings really know what they're talking about. Right. So when they tutor you, you will know exactly what they're talking about. And there's very, very little chance you would not make the ascent properly. Now, this becomes really important when you get to Havona, because many people go through Havona and they don't recognize or can't comprehend one of the three deities. Okay. And if that's the case, over a period of time, they do the same thing. They send you back to a previous state, but they have special beings that train you in those concepts until you can get it. right? So the whole goal is to recognize all the deities and stand before God the Father. And for some beings, that's very, very hard to do. Okay. So it's not just a cakewalk. It's a lot of work any way you look at it. And so that's
So
why it takes,
we better start sharpening our memories down here.
right. Yeah. Well, it takes billions of years for many people to make it to paradise. Okay. Because learning these processes is very, very, very hard. Right. You know, and it brings me back to this, which I've said many, many times. We are so privileged to have this revelation. It's just unreal, you know, because we get a peek at what is to come in the not only the soon next life, the mansion worlds, but we get a peek at what's to come through all the ascension plan, right? So who would not want to learn this information and make it part of you so that when you wake up on the mansion world, you know what the next step is, right? You don't have to have an angel there telling you, well, I made it through mansion world number 1. It's time to move on to mansion world number 2, because you will already know that information.
Roger,
Okay? Yeah.
our Urantia life, we're going to have new bodies.
Mm-hmm.
They are not animalistic.
No,
I doubt there's any hair,
no. May not be. I don't know.
but we're all endowed with the same brain, right?
Well,
I mean,
not
are there going to be
no, you get a new
retarded
brain
beings
too.
there?
Yeah, no, you get a new brain too, Rodney. The brain that's in the Urantia body is not the type of brain that is the 1, 2, or 3 type brain that the mortals have. Okay, when you get the Urantia brain, all Urantia beings have basically the same type of brain, and you'll have a brain that remembers everything you learn the first time. Okay, total recall.
Even what I don't remember now.
Yeah, even what you don't remember now.
What if there's some stuff I don't want to remember?
Well, the only things you don't want to remember are the things that are non-spiritual, and you won't remember those anyway. Okay.
Oh.
So when you wake up on the mansion world, the angels can literally rehearse many things that happen in your life they feel is important for you to remember, and you'll have instant recall. Now, another interesting thing, anything spiritual related that you experienced with other human beings, people from your same planet, your same universe can get together, and with the combination of their memories and your memories, you can recall 100% of everything spiritual that's happened to you through your life, which is really nice. Okay, so if you can't remember some little part of your life that happened, the angels can rehearse it for you, and the people that you knew during that period of time can also help rehearse those experiences and help you remember. This is really handy when you have a husband or wife that goes through this life together and you both have a spiritual understanding of life, right? Because things that happen to you, you both have a reference point. So for instance, let's say I was married to someone that never read a word of the Urantia book, okay, which wouldn't happen. But if I was, when I got to the mansion world, I would have to hang around on mansion world number 1 until my wife caught up with me if I wanted her to go with me. You follow me? Because she didn't learn anything. And that's not what we want. We want people that are close to us and we love to understand what's in this book so that when you get to the mansion world, you'll be on the same footing with them, right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I find this interesting, though, that they call this the problem of your paradise ascent. Like it's something you really have to work at, right? All right. Let's go on. Rodney, would you take the first sentence there and the very first one? I want to go through these one at a time tonight because these are
Okay.
pretty important.
It is highly probable, though we cannot offer definite proof, that the master spirit of Orvanton exerts a decided influence in the following spheres of activity. 1, the life initiation procedures of the local universe life carriers.
Okay, I want to show y'all something. In this very, very first sentence, read it like this first, okay? It is highly probable that the master spirits of Urvantan exerts a decided influence in the following spheres of activity. That's without the middle part, right? Okay, that's what they're saying here. It's hard to understand this because they stuck this thing right in the middle of it. All right. What they're saying is it's highly probable that the master spirit of Urvantan exerts decided influence on these things they're going to list afterwards. Okay. But it's interesting, they put right in the middle of this, though we cannot offer definite proof. You see that? All right. Why would they say that? Because the master spirit of Urvantan does so many things that are beyond the understanding of not only beings of our level, but even beings of this level. On this level, what are we talking about? Let's go down here and look. The universal censor from Uversa. Okay, that's who wrote this paper. So even that being does not understand totally, because he can't offer proof, 100% proof, that the seventh master spirit of Urvantan does 100% influence these things. Okay, so that's a pretty important point that even he doesn't know for sure, but they believe that's the case. Okay, so let's take the first one. Life initiation procedure of the local universe, the life carriers. Since the life carriers are under whom? The local universe mother spirit and the creator son, right? That's right. So who comes under the master spirit of Urvantan? All the local universe mother spirits, right? So when the mother spirit initiates life on a local planet, she does it through whom? The life carriers, right? And when she does it through the life carriers, they believe that the master spirit is involved in somehow. And for sure, the infinite spirit is, right? Because no life starts in this universe without the approval of the infinite spirit. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Let's see who's up next. Millie, would you take the next sentence, please?
Yes, so I speak around, yes. Number two, the life activations of the adjutant mind spirits bestowed upon the worlds by the local universe creative spirits.
Okay, so we know what the 7 adjutant mind spirits are at this point, right? These are the mind spirits that are the gift of the local universe mother spirit, okay? But they believe that these adjutant mind spirits, which are bestowed on every creature, all right, the first 5 on every type of living creature, and the last 2 are bestowed on human beings only, right? But they believe, let's go back to what this is about. They believe whom is involved? The master spirit of Urvantan is also involved in that. Okay, now why would that be? Because the local universe mother spirit is under the master spirit, is she not? So that makes sense, right? Okay, number 3. Jane, would you take number 3?
My internet connection, it says it's unstable.
Yeah,
I
mine
don't-
does. Yeah, it does
Yeah.
that. Are you on Wi-Fi?
Yes,
Yeah, it does that because of the
but I'm
Wi-Fi.
close to the modem too. That's why I'm down here.
Yeah,
It's
sometimes it does that when you're connected through Zoom for some reason. I'm not really
Yeah.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll be clear or if I'll be choppy.
Well, that's all right. You can go ahead and read this one sentence. But if it goes out on you completely, Jane, just sign back into Zoom and come back in.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Number 3. Are we at number 3, Roger?
We're at number 3. Yes.
Yeah. The fluctuation in energy manifestations exhibited by the linear gravity responding units of organized matter.
Okay, first, to understand this sentence, we have to know what linear gravity response is, don't we? If we don't know what that is, the sentence is a gobbledygook. Makes no sense at all, right? So, what is linear gravity? Linear gravity is the gravity that exists between two physical bodies in any solar system, in the universe, anything at all. Anything that's material has a gravity that attracts it to other material objects. Okay, so a good example of linear gravity is what? Our local solar system, right? The planets that go around the sun. All of those have linear gravity connecting these planets to the sun. Okay, this is not paradise gravity. It's a difference. Linear gravity just has to do with the organized units of matter. Okay, and why is this important? We're going to know when we go through this next one, number 4. All right, so the master spirit of Urvanton participates in these fluctuations of energy manifestations exhibited by the linear gravity response of one matter to another. Okay, basically. Okay, so anything that's got any kind of gravity, the master spirit's involved also, not just paradise. Okay, we're going to get to paradise gravity here in a second. Okay, so number 5. Pam, are you out there? Number 4, I mean. She stepped away, didn't she? Okay, Gary, would you take number 4?
The behavior of emergent energy, when fully liberated from the grasp of the unqualified absolute, thus becoming responsive to the direct influence of linear gravity and to the manipulations of the universe power directors and their associates.
Okay, this
Sounds
one's good.
complicated.
Well, it is a little bit complicated, but this slide's going to help us clarify it just a little bit. Okay, so we know what linear gravity is now, right? Everybody clear on linear gravity? Sound pretty good? Okay, so when we read through this, this will make more sense. And this is kind of small in a couple places, so y'all bear with me. I'm going to read through this slide, and hopefully this slide will make this a little more understandable. First, you have primordial force. This is pre-energy, not responsive to paradise gravity. This is energy before the local or before the primary force organizers get a hold of it. Okay, this is basically the domain of the unqualified absolute. Okay, you know, when we talk about the unqualified absolute, takes primordial matter and manipulates it, gets it ready for the primary force organizers and their associates. That's what they're talking about here. So this is pre-energy, not responsive to paradise gravity. So what the unqualified absolute pulls from underneath paradise, or neither paradise, is not responsive to paradise gravity at all. Okay, so this primordial force that comes out of neither paradise has no connection to paradise gravity at all when it starts. Okay, and this is the stuff that all the universes are made from. Okay, so if you think about it this way. I don't know if y'all can remember back far enough, but when we talked about the I am, God the Father, the I am is God the Father, pre-Son, pre-Spirit, pre-Paradise. Okay, that's why they call the I am the I am. Remember in the Bible, it says, I am that I am. Remember that? Because the I am existed before all other things existed. So if you think about it, this primordial force energy that comes from neither paradise originates somehow in the I am, the original Father himself. Okay, so it has no manipulable value when it comes out until it gets manipulated by the unqualified absolute. Okay, Jane, go ahead.
Roger, is that what they mean when they use the word pre-personal?
No, pre-personal can be used on beings too, because the thought adjuster is pre-personal, right? So
Okay.
you could consider any things pre-personal could include things that come from God the Father, right? So,
All right.
all right. All right, so let's read this paragraph. A puissant energy, this is the powerful directional mass movement, mighty tensioned and forcible reacting energy, gigantic energy system set in motion by the activity of the primary force organizers. And who do they work with? The unqualified absolute. Okay. This primary or puissant energy is not at first definitely responsive to the paradise gravity pool. So at this point, in the upper part of this picture, it's not responsive to the paradise gravity at all. Make sense? Okay. Now this is going around the block to get this point made. All right. These the force organizers transmute primordial force up here, pre-energy not responsive to direct paradise gravity, into primary or puissant energy, energy transmitting from the exclusive grasp of the unqualified absolute to the gravity grasp of paradise. Okay, why is this important? Because this primordial force and then puissant energy is set up by the unqualified absolute to make it usable and give it gravity grasp by the owl of paradise. Now, when this happens, the unqualified absolute passes it on to the primary force organizers. Okay. And when that happens, that energy from that point on for forever is forever responsive to paradise gravity. Okay. Without this conversion from the unqualified absolute to paradise gravity, it would stay non-usable. Okay. So that's why this is important. All right. Then we go to the next one. The master force organizers, are thereupon succeeded by the associated force organizers who continue the process of energy transmutation from the primary through the secondary to the gravity energy stage. So the primary force organizers or the master force organizers pass it to the associate force organizers, and from that point on, it's ready energy to be used for the nebula that's going to be created. Okay, and I'm going to read this last sentence. The primary force organizers are the manipulators of the primordial or basic space forces of the unqualified absolute. They are nebulae creators. So all these universes that the suns and the local universe mother spirits step in and start to build their universes from comes from this right here. The unqualified absolute and the nebula they create. Okay.
So Roger,
Now let me make my point before you ask your question, Rodney. Come right back to you.
thought you were finished. Sorry.
No, got one more point to make. The whole point of all of this is this. They think that the master spirit of Orvanton exerts some influence on this process. Okay, this whole process. They're not sure though. They're trying to explain it to us, but they are not sure themselves 100%, but they believe that's the case. That's the whole point of this. Okay, Rodney, what was your question?
Well, I think it's made so it's not reactive to paradise gravity,
Right.
Maybe so that it could be transported to an area
Maybe.
way out
you
in
may,
space
you may be correct.
so it's
Rob.
easy to move.
Yeah.
Then they can start spinning it,
Manipulating it.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
so that it creates, it's responsive, it stays there, and it creates linear gravity.
You may be
Nebula.
right. You could be right on the money, Roddy, because to get it to move away from paradise, if it had that paradise gravity to start out with, they would have one heck of a time moving those forces out to outer space or wherever they're going to go to make that nebulae, to make that universe, right?
Yeah, it would want to stick there.
It would want to stay in paradise,
Right.
Because it's always from then on out going to be responsive to paradise. Yes, Jane.
So as of now, we still operate on this linear gravity,
Yes.
not the paradise gravity, but we are within the circuits.
Yes, and we're associated with both the linear gravity and the paradise gravity. Okay, and they
Okay.
call the linear gravity the local gravity. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, the paradise gravity they call paradise gravity because it has gravity for all of everything. Okay, paradise is continuously drawing everything near itself. Okay, and it's only the paradise gravity that keeps the 7 super universes and the 4 outer space levels from collapsing into itself. Okay, that's why we have super universe respiration. It expands for a billion years, then it comes back in for a billion years. Yeah, Gary. Y'all let me know when you raise your hand because I can only see half of you at a time. So, yeah, Gary.
So paradise gravity is not spiritual gravity per se.
It is
Paradise
too.
gravity is the force keeping the universe intact, so we don't have a billiard ball effect on each other, bouncing
That's
off each other.
exactly, yeah, that's exactly right, Gary. Now, the thing of it is, though, spiritual gravity has the same sort of draw. Okay, the exact same sort of draw. The only difference is it's only associated with spiritual beings. Okay, and that's hard to understand, but it has the same sort of gravity draw as paradise does. And we know all the celestial beings domicile on paradise, God the Father, God the Son, and the 7 master spirits. So that's where the spiritual gravity originates, and that's where it's drawn to. So you could include paradise gravity in that, but it's a separate circuit, really. Okay. All right. Pam, since you were gone when I asked you to read, let me have you read number 5.
Okay. The bestowal of the ministry spirit of a local universe creative spirit, known on Urantia as the Holy Spirit.
So what they're saying is they believe that the master spirits have something to do with the bestowal of the Holy Spirit through the creative mother spirits on the planet also. So he's involved in that also. Okay. All right. Now, not only that, but let's go down here a little bit more. Oops, went too far. I'm trying to manipulate things around because I want to see as many people as I can. Okay. Number 6, Gary. No, you just read. Diane, would you read the next one?
The subsequent bestowal of the spirit of the bestowal sons on Urantia, called the Comforter or the Spirit of Truth.
Forgot to unmute. The Spirit of Truth that we hear so much about, they believe that the Master Spirit has something to do with the bestowal of the Spirit of Truth also. So all these circuits and all these spirits, like the creative, like the Holy Spirit and the Spirit of Truth, all of these are circuits, right? And we're encircuited in those circuits, so they believe the Master Spirit has something to do with that also. And they're sure about this next one for sure. Rodney, would you take the next one, 7?
Yes. The reflectivity mechanism of the local universes and the super universes Many features connected with this extraordinary phenomenon can hardly be reasonably explained or rationally understood without postulating the activity of the master spirits in association with the conjoint actor and the supreme beings.
So without the master spirits and without the conjoint actor, the infinite spirit, and the supreme being, reflectivity would not be possible. That's what they're saying here. All right. So they know for sure that the master spirit is involved in reflectivity because it's only through reflectivity that the master spirit can get the information for doing what? Gathering experience from every single being in all 7 super universes through the supreme. And who's acting for the supreme? The 7th master spirit, right? See how the pieces fit together? Okay. So without the 7th master spirit and without the conjoint actor, there could be no reflectivity. And without the reflectivity, there could be none of the others, right? That's just the way it is. One works upon the other. Okay. Now that y'all are learning all this stuff and it's starting to fit together a little bit, doesn't it? All right. But it takes a lot of study to get there. Okay. Millie, would you take the next one? I believe you're up next.
Yes, I can do this. Notwithstanding our failure adequately to comprehend the manifold workings of the 7 master spirits, we are confident there are 2 realms in the vast range of universe activities with which they have nothing whatever to do. The bestowal of ministry of the thought adjusters and the inscrutable functions of the unqualified absolute.
All right. And that,
there's something that the master spirits don't do.
yeah, that's something that the master spirits don't do, right? Now, let me add something to that for y'all to think about. I always had this question after reading that. How about the personality circuit of the Father? You know, because that comes directly from God the Father. The thought adjusters come directly from God the Father, do they not? Right?
Correct.
All right. The unqualified absolute comes where? Directly from the I am, God the Father. Okay. The unqualified absolute is one of the 7 absolutes, right? All 7 of the 7 absolutes originate in whom? God the Father, the I am, right? Now, my question is this: why is not the personality circuit in this list? The only thing I can think of that would answer that is the personality circuit must go through some circuit that the 7 master spirits maintains. Make sense? You know, because the personality circuit of the Father is different than all other circuits. Is it not? It's what comes the personality to each and every individual. Okay. Once personality is bestowed by God the Father, okay, the thought adjuster eventually comes to that being by about 5.5 years old, right? So the 2 parts are there to do what? Create the human soul. That's the whole job of the personality and the thought adjuster. Now, when they create the human soul upon starting out as a child, when they get to the point of fusion, when you fuse with the thought adjuster, your soul is in full manifestation. Okay? If you can think about it this way, when we're on this planet, we're what? We're embryo souls. Okay? We're like little baby souls. We're building up this soul all of our life. When we get to the mansion world, what's the first thing we do? We build up that soul in the Urantia form a little bit more. By the time we hit the 5th mansion world, what happens? We fuse it with the adjuster. And what happens on that fusion? The soul becomes in full fruition as a soul. Okay?
Our souls have 5 months or 5 steps of development.
That's right.
Like our babies have 9, we have 5.
We have 5. That's a good illustration, Gary. And if that's the way you can remember it, that's the best way to do it. Okay. Now, when that soul's in full fruition, you were considered what? A citizen of the cosmos. You're given a new name. Okay. So when you get to the first mansion world, are you a full-fledged soul?
Nope.
No.
No, because you haven't fused with your adjuster, have you? Right. But you
When
have
you
that.
get, when you get through all 5 of them, or all 8 of them, and you get to the last mansion world, and you fuse with your adjuster, then you're no longer Urantia, you are spirit. Is that
No,
right?
you're still Urantia, Millie. You're not spirit until you leave the local universe, and then you're full-fledged spirit, your first stage spirit. Okay.
Okay.
So 590 changes through the mansion worlds, you're still considered a Urantia being. Okay. But after you fused with that adjuster, you're considered a citizen of the cosmos, and you were considered to have everlasting life at that point. Okay. If you think about it, until you fuse with your adjuster, you're kind of, if you want to look at it this way, you're kind of, they're taking a chance on you, aren't they?
You're in purgatory.
Yeah, you're kind of in purgatory, if you want to call it that, because what they're doing is they're trying to teach you enough to get to the point where you can fuse with that adjuster, and you can fail, right? You can not fuse, and they will keep you there until you fuse with that adjuster. You don't go on from that 5th mansion world or the capital, one of the two, until you fuse with that adjuster. You don't become part of the process until you become part of the citizens of the cosmos. That's the whole point here, right? That's why this is so important. Now,
Once we become citizens of the cosmos,
right.
will we be endowed to go out and do jobs?
Yes, we will.
You
We'll
know,
be
like, well,
endowed to go out and do some jobs associated with the mansion worlds, Gary, before we fuse. Okay, that's the part of the learning process, is to do things. Yeah, Jane.
I'm just trying to understand it a little bit simply. Is it like when we get to the 5th mansion world and we fuse, is that a level where you could say we are actually saved and now we can conform with the cosmic mind totally, and we can then leave the local? Or what does it mean to fuse? Because you're not yet spirit.
You're not
That
yet
means
spirit. No, you're Urantia.
you're
Right.
still Urantia,
Yeah,
not ready to start the spirit life.
not
Because
from a long shot. No, but
that's God knowing then. Is the
but
spirit life?
let me make something totally clear to everybody right now. Salvation starts from the moment of belief. Okay, salvation starts on this planet. Okay, when you believe you are a son or daughter of God, you are saved. That's it, period. Okay, that's why it's the most simple thing in the universe. Salvation is the most simple thing in the universe. The only thing you need to be saved is realization that God is your father and you are a son of God or daughter of God. That is salvation. No.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to step on all the Baptist toes and Pentecostal toes and everybody else's toes right now.
I
Okay.
said at a meeting one night, and there are a lot of Baptists there, and I said, well, salvation is free.
It's
and they
free.
said,
It's
oh,
belief. Yeah, it is.
It is free.
It has.
There's nothing you can give God to buy
Yeah.
your salvation.
There's not, and it is not all about the sacrificing Jesus on the cross for your sins.
No.
You have to get over that. That's a fallacy. Okay, Jesus was not sacrificed on this cross to get rid of your sins. God forgives your sins any way you look at it. Okay, People don't like me to say that because it's ingrained in their brain from their times they're little babies, right? That Jesus died for your sins on the cross, and the only way you get saved is this: you believe that Jesus died for your sins.
Gotta be washed in the blood.
Been washed in the blood, the grossest thing I can think of, right? That is a fallacy. It's a concept of
Paganism.
paganism. It's the concept come from Paul, the apostle, because he was guilt ridden. Okay. And they ingrained it in the church, and it's been a problem in the church ever since. Okay.
Sure.
So that has nothing to do with salvation. The thing of it is this, let me make this clear. When you believe that God is your father and you are a son of God, when you get to that first mansion world, the first thing you have to recognize is what? Who your creator was, right? And who was your creator? Jesus, Michael, right? You can't get anywhere without the realization that the Son of God created you, the local universe mother spirit created you, and they are your parents. I mean, that's the first father figure, right? Actually, the first father figure is Caligastia, but he failed as a father figure, didn't he? Okay. He was our local planet father, but he failed. So the Melchizedeks had to step in, right? And they were our foster father until whom showed up?
Michael.
Jesus.
Michael, Jesus, whatever.
Right. Till he showed up. Now, when he showed up, he assumed the role of the father of this local planet. Okay. But he, in reality, was the father of this local planet before all of this happened, right? Because he created everything there is. So do you think they're going to let you off that first mansion world without recognizing your creator? I don't think so.
No, right.
Yeah.
I guess when I use the word salvation, what really I meant is you have no connection at all and no handicaps whatsoever.
Well, yeah, that's true. Now, think of it this way. You are kind of in a situation of trial. All right. They're giving you a trial run up to the point of where you fuse, right? You're not really a citizen of the universe until you fuse, are you? So up to that point, you could fail any way along the way, and they're going to still try to teach you, as much as they can and try to get you to that point of fusion so that you can become a citizen of the universe, right? Now, at that point, though, from that point on, when you fuse, you will have everlasting life the rest of eternity, okay? You really don't qualify for everlasting life until that point, but you're not going anywhere until you get to that point. They will keep you around, right? All right. Gary, what was your question?
Caligastia ruled this world, this universe.
Yeah.
Before Jesus, right?
Yeah, right.
Wasn't Jesus ruling it out? Because didn't Jesus create Caligastia?
Yes, he did. That was my whole point, is Jesus was our creator. He created every being from the beginning of this local universe. So really,
I just kind of got the impression that I was wondering, where was Jesus when Caligastia was messing up?
Yeah, well, Jesus was back on Salvington doing his normal job, waiting for his final bestowal. Okay, he could not claim sovereignty until his final bestowal was over. Okay,
And then was Emmanuel sovereign until the final bestowal over?
he not only when Jesus was not there. Okay, he stepped really in as an executive ruler until Jesus finished his bestowal. Okay.
What about the before the final bestowal? Who was in charge?
Caligastia was in charge on the planet for 250,000 years, and
Okay,
then when he defaulted, then the 12 Melchizedek was in charge of the planet.
Okay, so I guess I don't know who was in charge of Caligastia.
Jesus was always in charge of Calagasta, or Michael was always in charge of Calagasta from his birth on. Okay.
Okay, but he didn't have power over him.
He
Didn't
did
have
have power.
sovereignty.
Yes, he had power, but he didn't have earned sovereignty. He was sovereign up to that point by rule of the Father. He was representing the Father up to that point.
Okay, see, he had delegated power.
He had delegated power. That's exactly right. But when
And
he
then
finished,
he
became full sovereign after he finished his last.
he didn't have
bestowal.
to ask his dad.
That's right. That's exactly right. Now, why is that? Remember last week when we went back to the paper 119 on his bestowals? He had to show the universe the characteristics of all 7 master spirits before he earned his own sovereignty, right? That's why I went back there. Okay. All creator sons have to do the same exact thing. They all have to do 7 bestowals and represent the combination of the 7 master spirits. Make sense?
So Earth was Jesus's 7th bestowal.
Right. Yeah.
But
That's
are
it.
there only 7 universes or 7 planets like Earth that experience Jesus?
Well, they're not all well, some of them are pretty much all planets. You're right there, Millie. But yes, only 7 experience a bestowal of Jesus. Yes, that's true. But Millie, every planet in all the 7 super universes, every planet have a son of God do a bestowal on them, their planet. But most of them are done by magisterial sons. Okay. Very few get the privilege of having.
So the ones in our system didn't get Jesus, got something else.
Yeah, they got something else. That's right. Most of them got something. We got 619 planets. Only 7 of them experienced the privilege of hosting the Creator Son. Okay, and that's the way it is in every local universe. Okay, the other planets get the privilege of hosting a magisterial son as their incarnation.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, Jane.
Just one question. All 7 master spirit have to do 7 bestowals on each super universe.
No, not the master spirits. Only the creator sons have to do 7 bestowals representing the 7 master spirits, the character of each of the 7 master spirits.
But the creator sons are local.
Yes.
They would be of the local universe.
And all local universe creator sons have to do the same thing that Michael did. They have to represent one of the 7 master spirits on a bestowal on 7 times. Okay?
On their local universe.
On their local universe. That's correct. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Good. I was worried about muddying the waters. Let me tell y'all something about this paper. The last 3 or 4 sections in this is some of the most important information in the entire book. Okay. Yes, it is. I want to make sure that y'all understand this. I am going to take my time getting through these last 3 or 4 sections. This paper may end up taking eight times for us to get through it. But by the time we get through it, you should have an understanding not only of the master spirits, but the blueprint of everything in the 7 super universe having to do with the master spirits, the creator sons, and how we fit in. Okay, because it talks about, let me just run through these other sections here real quick so you get an idea. First, they talk about our creature relationship to the grand universe. Okay, then they talk about the cosmic mind and our relationship to the cosmic mind. Okay, which is very, very important. This is the mind of the infinite spirit. Okay, and then they tell us about causation, duty, and worship. These are These are the things that make reality reality in our life. The other thing they talk about is our morals, our virtue, and our personality, and how these affect us in this local universe. And then they talk about the Urantia personality, our personality individual to the Urantia, our type of personality. They talk about we're type of finite mortal beings of the Nebadon type of being, which is very unusual on an experiential planet. And these things that they go through are some of the most important things you'll read. And then they talk about the reality of the human consciousness, how we relate being a human being to the cosmos. Okay.
Wow.
It's very, very important.
Yeah.
Stuff. And before we quit tonight, because we only got a couple more minutes, I want to read this question of the last paragraph. Is that okay with y'all?
Mm-hmm.
It asks, this is a question. Is it strange that the cosmic mind should be self-consciously aware of its own source? What would that be? That would be the infinite spirit being aware of the God the Father. The infinite mind of the infinite spirit, and at the same time, conscious of the physical reality of the far-flung universes, the spiritual reality of the eternal Son, and the personality reality of the universal Father. This is a question, okay? Is it strange that the cosmic mind is self-aware of the infinite spirit? It's self-aware of the eternal Son. It's self-aware of the physical reality from paradise of the whole universe. And it's still self-aware of the personality reality or the reality circuit of the universal Father. Man, that's a heavy question.
Wow,
Isn't it?
that's a heavy. Does the Supreme Being fit into that question?
Yes. Yes, it does, because the Supreme Being is being represented by whom? The seventh Master Spirit, right? All right,
And
so
that's all experiential then?
and that's all experiential. That's correct. All
Wow,
right,
that's a big wow.
it's a big wow. So these next few paragraphs, we're going to hit them really hard, and it's got a lot of information, but it's going to expand your consciousness of who you are, where you are, and why you are in this universe. Okay, makes sense?
Yeah.
I hope so.
I hope
You
so.
know, Roger, I listened to this, of course, in your 2014. I went through your previous recordings.
Yeah,
It's like I never heard anything about it.
I know. Every time, well, see, every time I've taught it, it's been a little bit different, because when I taught it the first time, we were trying to get through it in 2 hours. I mean, I really I flew through this stuff. Millie probably remembers that, because back then I was getting through a paper, wasn't I, Millie? Anyway, I mean, it took 2 hours. We got through it though, right?
Well, you noticed that I left last Thursday. I just left. I got brain overload.
Yeah.
It was more than I could comprehend. And
Yeah.
so later, I know you recorded and I went on the computer here and I went through the whole thing. And later I went through the whole thing again. And
Yeah.
later I went through the whole thing a third time, and I'm still confused. It still hasn't settled in. It's just more, it's brain overload.
It's a lot
I'm
of stuff.
sure.
Yeah, it is. Pam. Yeah.
I found that if I listen to the recording after and take notes,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
when I read the notes, they still look like brand new to me. Like,
Oh,
did
I know.
I
I know.
take that from that lesson?
Jane, I listened to myself and I said, where'd that come from? Did I really say that?
I remember Rodney asking, what is God doing during all of this? Was the and Rodney, he's CEO. He's got everybody in place doing what they're supposed to be doing. He's out playing
That's
golf,
right.
assuming that everybody is
Well,
doing what they're supposed to be
I'll tell
doing.
you what, y'all have always heard that this, if you let it, the spirit will speak through you. And it happens to me all the time. It does, because I listen to these things afterwards many times, a couple times, and I think, where did I get that from? Where, because consciously, I don't know that it's there, but it's there in my soul somewhere. Pam,
Thank
yeah,
God
what you
for
got to say?
that.
So I know at one point you said go somewhere so that I can see all the back videos, but I don't know what to click on.
Okay,
What
well,
is,
if you,
Excellent
I'll tell you
question.
what, let me show you, Pam. Is this still up? This is
Uh.
our original page, the Fifth Epical Revelation Fellowship. It's also the exact same page as the Atlanta Urantia Study Group site. They're exactly the same.
okay.
Now on this page, I'm showing this for everybody at home too, since you asked the question. On this main page is this week's or this Tuesday and Thursday's meeting every week. Okay. So this meeting at the top will be the one that will be replaced tomorrow when I put tonight's meeting on there. Okay, so you can always find the last meeting on this page, these top two. Okay, now you can listen to it on this page, or you can go down. I like to go down here to where it says Vimeo, download. All right, just click on that vimeo.com link. Let me do it for you here, and I'll show you what it comes up as. It goes to the Vimeo site, okay? And this is the same meeting, but you can make it full screen, you can manipulate it, whatever, okay? So you can get there that way. You can also get there through the link down here. It says YouTube. It'll take you to the YouTube page, okay, down there. But the old videos, let me show you how you get to there. Underneath our last two meetings, is all the previous meetings. This is the Christmas meetings. And underneath that starts the forward, all the meetings from the forward. And you can go through this list and find whichever one you're looking for, the first paper, the second paper, whatever of the forward. And you can get to those the same way. There's a Vimeo link there, and then there's a YouTube link on there. You see that?
So I just have to go to Fifth Epochal Revelation Fellowship.
Fellowship.com, right.
.com. Okay,
Now,
Fifth.
the only things that's on the main page is the forward. To get to all the rest of the pages, you can go down here on the bottom and you can click on the part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Okay, and that'll take you to the page of the videos for those. Okay, and you can just scroll down through there. But let me show you a little secret.
Over
right.
on the left-hand side, they're all listed.
That's what I was fixing to say. Yes, along the side are every single, these are just the old ones though, okay? These are just the old papers. None of these are the new papers, okay? So on all the old papers are listed down the side. And the first list going down to where it says YouTube videos, all these are Vimeo, okay? Underneath those are all YouTubes, okay? Now let me show you another little trick here before I let y'all go. I've made so many links here, it's hard to keep up with them all. You can look at the previous meetings by week by clicking Vimeo meetings for 2021 for YouTube and Vimeo, right there. So these are listed backwards. So if I click on that, it'll take it a second because it's got a lot of information on it. These are the videos. It'll fill out you'll see a picture on this in a second. It takes a minute, but these are the previous week's videos in backwards order. So if you start at the top one here, this will be last week's video, right? And then the week before that, and the week before that, and the week before that. Okay, so you can find them that way. You can also, let me show you this. Like for this week's video, we're talking about paper 16, right? And under this link, right under the Vimeo link, this is this week's video. Under the link for that will be all the papers in order on paper 16. Okay, this is Vimeo again. And it will show you the oldest one first. That's 2014. That's the 2-hour one. Okay. Underneath that will come part 1 of the 7 master spirits. That's what we did 1026, right? Then we have part 2, right? Then we have part 3, Then we have part 4. And tomorrow we will have part 5. Okay. So you can scroll back through any of the meetings that way too. But the only thing you have to remember is under every single picture of a meeting is a link for Vimeo, full screen. And then we have a link for what I call the channels. And that's all the papers on that particular subject. Okay. So all the papers for paper 16, you can get to right there. Okay. And that's in Vimeo. Now you can also click down here and get to the YouTube, but you won't be able to get to all the papers as easily as you can on the Vimeo.
Mhm.
Okay. So test out those links, see what you can find, and you're going to find every paper that we put out there. And don't forget, they're all listed over on the side too, right? They're
Good.
all listed over here, right? Vimeo and then YouTube. Okay. So that's how you find all the videos. Did that make sense? Or is it too much
Yes.
information?
No, it's good.
Okay. So if you can remember Fifth Epical Revelation Fellowship.com or Urantia, Atlanta Urantia Study Group.org, you'll find the exact same papers on both of them. And both links are on the first page of both of them. There's the Atlanta Urantia Study Group. See that? And here's
Yeah.
the Fifth Epical Revelation Fellowship. You can go to either one, whichever you prefer to use.
Couldn't you also go to urantia.org and click study groups and find your group and then go here?
No,
No,
You
but
can't.
this is so comprehensive and
No.
so detailed. Yeah.
Yeah, they won't allow anything this complex on that study group page. I tried. So the
But
only
they
way to
will
get there is
reference-
through the Atlanta, huh?
Okay, all righty.
The
I'll work
Atlanta
it out in my
Urantia
brain.
Study Group or Fifth Epical Revelation Fellowship.com. Either one, you can get to all the videos. You can also go to YouTube and just click I think it's Reverend Dr. Roger Paul. You can find all my YouTube videos there too, but it's hard to get it to come up. I've tried to figure out an easier way to have people find them, but they're not in order. They're just, it's hard to find them that way. So that's why the best way to find them is on this page, just going down the side. Right.
Okay,
Okay. And if you want to watch the old one, go down the side. If you want to watch the new one, come up to the top or go down to the channels. Either one. Make sense?
Mhm.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. All right, y'all. Let's say a little prayer and we'll close for the night. Man, I've talked myself out tonight. Who wants to volunteer for a prayer tonight? Oh, Lordy. Millie, would you like to pray tonight for us, dear?
I'll do that.
Thank you.
Take my throat lozenge out. Heavenly Father, we once again gather together with our computers to study this remarkable revelation that you've given us. Help us to understand and sort through it and put it in some sort of order so that we will be considered citizens of the universes when we get there, that we will know what we're doing, that we'll have comprehension, we will have respect and acknowledge those who are guiding us and teaching us. We thank you for having Roger guide us and teach us on this planet and help us learn our way into the next life in your world. We praise these things in the name of Jesus, Son of God. Amen.
Amen. And thank you all for coming at home. Please come see
Thank
us again.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.
See
See
you all.
you next Thursday, God willing.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes.